very good evening and welcome to this live broadcast of News Watch. It is the 25th of September 2020 and we are set with the latest updates from across the country. My name is Tony Omondi and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Murithi. Let's begin with our top story tonight. Now, the few weeks after asking Chief Justice David Maraga to write to President Uhuru Kenyatta to dissolve Parliament for failing to enact the two-thirds gender rule, the United Green Movement (UGM) party now says the president has no option after Maraga wrote to him over the matter. The party, which is associated with the former DY MP Agustino Neto, said Maraga's advisory to the president has no shortcut regardless of opposition and criticism from people who are opposed to the advice. His statement follows the Law Society of Kenya's stance, saying President Kenyatta must dissolve Parliament before October 13th for the country to conduct another parliamentary election as per the Constitution. Our current affairs reporter Dickens Luvanda has more.
I would be the last person to stand and appear like nakusomea.
Lawyers and constitutional pundits have continued to weigh in on Chief Justice David Maraga's advisory to President Uhuru Kenyatta, advising him to dissolve Parliament for failure to enact the two-thirds gender principle rule as required by the 2010 Constitution. Even though majority of the politicians who are aligned to the Building Bridges Initiative BBI report are opposed to the directive, saying it will throw the country into a constitutional crisis, majority of lawyers have maintained that President Kenyatta has no way out of Maraga's advisory.
I think the debate on the two-third gender.
Former Ndiwa Member of Parliament and human rights lawyer Agustino Neto said that Parliament, which includes both the National and Senate Assemblies, had all the time to implement the two-thirds gender bill since 2010, but ignored it, despite being aware of the consequences of failing to do so.
The Constitution is supreme law. The articles of the Constitution says that once the President has been advised, the President shall dissolve Parliament. So Parliament is going to be dissolved. And we said, when, we don't know. If it is going to be dissolved, that we know. But we've also told the President that he has until the 13th of October. Why are we saying that? The Supreme Court has ruled before that when a reasonable time is not known, then the reasonable time is 14 days. There's been a ruling like that, an advisory by the Supreme Court. If the Constitution does not set the timelines clearly, then the timelines should be 14 days. So we've given the President until the 13th of October. If he doesn't send Parliament home, if he doesn't dissolve it, we will help him by evicting them.
Neto's party, the United Green Movement Party, early September asked Maraga to write to President Kenyatta to dissolve the August House on grounds that it has continued to display impunity and disrespect the Constitution for failing to enact the two-thirds gender rule 10 years down the line.
The 12th Parliament has been, its term has come to an end abruptly. So what is going to happen is a fresh term of Parliament. What's going to happen is a fresh term of Parliament. If you look at Article 261(8) of the Constitution, says the fresh Parliament will have, it's a fresh Parliament. I see lawyers say it's going to be a by-election. I do not know where they read that. Read Article 261(8) of the Constitution, says a fresh Parliament will have to enact that law within its term. And the term of Parliament under Article 102 of the Constitution is 5 years. I don't know where people say that it's going to be a by-election. I don't know where they get it.
Politicians who are opposed to the Maraga's advisory claim it is ill-intended and that the country has no funds to conduct another election before the 2022 general elections, not forgetting the state of IBC, which has only 3 commissioners.
The Constitution says that there shall be 3, a minimum of 3, and a maximum of 9. Look, we currently have 3 commissioners. They are rightfully in office. Where is the problem? The problem is, I think, they're grossly incompetent. I mean, that also needs to go on the record. I think they're grossly incompetent, but that they are in office and properly constituted is true. But as to whether they can conduct an election, that is why we said here as United Green Movement, Parliament needs to make this time that Justice Corrida has given them time. There is a reprieve of 2 weeks. They should be sorting out IBC and giving money and capacities.
Politicians who are allied to Deputy President William Ruto, who are now calling themselves Hustlers Nation, have backed Maraga and demanded that Parliament be dissolved for a fresh election.
Tumeshika mkono vile Chief Justice alisema, bunge ya taifa la Kenya ivunjwe, tuende nyumbani, turudi kwa elections, na sio bunge peke yake, hata serikali yote.
Chief Justice David Maraga's advisory on dissolution of parliament has caused jitters across all the political divide, but law experts have maintained that the president has no other way out, but rather to send both members of National Assembly and the Senate at home for a fresh election. Deacon Sulvanda, Hope TV Newswatch.
Our Orange Democratic Movement ODM party leader Raila Odinga has called on politicians across the political divide to embrace intended reforms in the country for development and prosperity. Raila, who spoke during the ODM National Executive Committee meeting in Machakos County, said the BBI report is around the corner and urged Kenyans to gear up for the intended changes. He has dismissed those who are opposing the Building Bridges initiative, challenging them to table their views and what they would want to see for the country, as well as table alternatives to the proposed reforms. Alice Diana reports.
ODM. ODM.
The ODM party has criticized politicians who are opposed to the Building Bridges initiative report that is to be unveiled by the select committee tasked to spearhead its implementation. This follows statements by Deputy President William Ruto and politicians who are allied to him, who have occasionally accused ODM party leader Raila Odinga of pushing for the introduction of the BBI report so as to create government positions for selected few ahead of the 2022 general election.
Hatutaki kuongea mambo ya positions, tunataka kuongea mambo ya jobs. Ama ni aje? Positions ni ya watu wachache. Kazi ni yetu sisi zote.
Odinga, who led an ODM National Executive Committee meeting in Machakos County on Friday, asked ODM members to get ready to take the battle to the anti-reform elements that are lining up to stop the BBI report.
These anti-reform forces are not new. They're the same ones that opposed a return to multi-party democracy. We must take the battle to our opponents and challenge them to state what they stand for, what they want for the country, how they intend to achieve it. We must challenge our opponents to tell the nation why they oppose efforts to ensure shared prosperity, end corruption, end divisive elections, and strengthen devolution. What is the alternative to these proposed reforms?
Odinga, who has been traversing counties campaigning for the report, says the unveiling of the BBI report is around the corner and that Kenyans should be patient enough and wait for it, saying it has answers to issues affecting the country, including corruption and the two-thirds gender rule, which has caused divisions across the political divide.
Corruption is the single most important cause of the poverty afflicting our people and the underdevelopment afflicting our nation. So, in the months ahead, we are going into a confrontation with the beneficiaries of proceeds of corruption who are arraigned against our agenda for a radical socio-economic transformation, job creation, and equitable distribution of prosperity.
The BBI, which is a product of the handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, seeks to lead the country into a referendum in an effort to amend the 2010 constitution for the country's unity.
A referendum does not need to cost more than 2 billion Kenyan shillings. So you should not be told, oh, we have no money. There's no money to do it. No, there's money to do it. And we can teach Mr. Chebukati, if he's going to be able to do it, how to do it. We are going to show them how to do it.
But the crafters of this social contract also told us and reminded us that a constitution was a work in progress. And as such, we were made to adopt it with a promise that in the future, we will make it better. 10 years later, the moment to improve on it, I believe, is now.
For Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Alice Diana.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has encouraged religious leaders to speak consistently and openly in condemnation of the vices slowing down Kenya's progress. The president has said it's only through the active participation of all Kenyans, including religious leaders, that the country will be able to defeat challenges such as corruption that are a hindrance to the country's development. The president spoke at State House, Nairobi, during a meeting with religious leaders who paid him a courtesy call. At the same meeting, the head of state and the religious leaders agreed to host national prayers on Saturday, 10th October 2020, to, among other national issues, pray for the country's battle with COVID-19.
Continued partnership between the church and the state in the delivery of public good, education, healthcare, and other areas is key to my administration. I urge you all to help us build bridges of unity between brothers and sisters, within families and communities, for we are all one people of one nation that we all call Kenya. So I want to urge all our religious leaders to take this message of accountability to your sanctuaries and inspire our people by your deeds and indeed by example. Be temples of harmony and love for all Kenyans. Temples, as you have stated yourselves, of justice, equity, and fairness. Speak boldly, and I will never hesitate to say that. Speak boldly against all the vices that are holding our nation back. Our job for building this nation is a shared responsibility, and we are serving, after all, the same people. We deliver on the physical wellness of all the citizens as you nourish their souls and their spirit. The leadership of the church in the anti-corruption fight is highly appreciated, but I do believe that there is still more room for action from our religious leaders. It is an all-of-society fight, and the government alone cannot win this battle. It matters political. I know the church remains above politics, but we all have a duty to help our people to know that we cannot be a nation whose sole obsession is politics. All year, every year, year in and year out. I call upon you to be the voice of reason and to foster messages of hope for the wellness of our nation. We need you as our religious leaders to be non-partisan and persons who can help heal divides.
Let's now look at COVID-19 situation in the country. Now, the country has recorded 218 new coronavirus cases in the last 24 hours after testing a sample size of 5,424, bringing the total number of infections to 37,707. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe, in a statement to newsrooms, said from the cases, all are Kenyans except 8 that are foreigners. 159 are males and 59 are females, while the youngest is a 1-year-old child and the oldest is 78. CS Kagwe stated that 170 people have also recovered from the disease, with 91 discharged from various hospitals, while 79 were under the home-based care program, bringing the total number of recoveries to 24,504. 13 patients have succumbed to the disease, bringing the fatality to 682. In the cases today, Nairobi leads with 68, followed by Kisii with 28 cases, Mombasa 21, Kisumu 19, Kiambu 13, Kajiado 11, Busia 10, Machakos 8, Tharaka Nithi 6, Garissa 6, Taita Taveta 5, Nakuru 4, Uasin Gishu 3, Narok 2, Laikipia 2, Kakamega 2, Kericho 2, Homa Bay, Murang'a, Bomet and Kilifi and Makueni 1, Migori 1 case, Nyandarua 1 and Nyeri County 1 case. Now, moving on, Mavoko Member of Parliament Patrick Makau has strongly condemned Chief Justice David Maraga's advice to dissolve Parliament for failure to achieve the 2/3 gender rule, saying that the move could negatively affect the already devastated country's economy. This comes just after Justice Weldon Korir ruled that it will be unfair to subject the country to an election without interrogating the legality of the advisory. Mark Kimondo has more.
Chief Justice David Maraga's advice to President Uhuru Kenyatta to dissolve Parliament over failure to pass the 2/3 gender rule has brought about a divisive leadership in the country, with a group of leaders strongly condemning the move, terming it immature, while others have embraced it. Speaking while in a burial ceremony in Machakos County, Mavoko Member of Parliament Patrick Makau has criticized CJ Maraga over his advisory to President Uhuru Kenyatta to dissolve the parliament.
CJ Maraga inaonekana ametoa hii mwito kwa rais kuvunja ama kuvunjilia mbunge akiwa amekasirika, na mimi naona hiyo sio kitu mzuri. Kwanza kulikana na katiba, tumechambua sana kama mbunge na tumeona hakuna vile hata mbunge inaweza vunjwa.
The MP said it isn't convenient and untimely to dissolve parliament at a time the country is facing harsh economic times resulting from COVID-19 pandemic.
Kwanza ajue hata tukiangalia maneno ya IBC haina wale ma commissioners wake, haiko what you call kwa kimombo properly constituted, na sijui ni kwa nini anataka kutupa Kenya katika institutional crisis.
Kenya Women Parliamentarian Association led by Kiambu Women Rep Gathoni Wamuchomba welcomed Maraga's decision, saying there has been lack of political goodwill to enact the gender rule. However, the National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi earlier said MPs should not be blamed for the failure to enact the legislation. In the meantime, the High Court has suspended the recommendation by Chief Justice David Maraga to dissolve Parliament, with Chief Justice Weldon Korir ruling that it will be unfair to subject the country to an election without interrogating the legality of the recommendation. This has seen some members of Parliament breathe a sigh of relief. Mak Kimundo, Newswatch, Nairobi.
And that report from Mark Kimondo takes us to a short commercial break on Newswatch. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.
I was around 20 years old when I noticed I have a slight swelling on the neck around here.
Your thyroid gland is found just below your voice box. It affects your metabolism and makes hormones that affects how your whole body works.
My emotions became completely destroyed. I would just start crying all of a sudden for no reason, no apparent reason. People would tell me now the risks of having thyroid condition. One of them being that I kind of become barren.
Stay tuned to Health Check as we talk about thyroid disease live with an endocrinologist and a thyroid disease warrior next Tuesday at 7 p.m. exclusively on Hope TV.
Are you looking to settle your family in an affordable, clean and serene environment? Look no further than Garden of Joy in Machakos by Optiven. The project strategically sits between the Mua and Koma Hills, providing you with beautiful landscapes, fresh air and a much-needed break from the hustle and bustle of the city. The Garden of Joy also comes with a jogging track, a meditation park and a children's play area, making it the perfect location to set up your countryside home. Get your value-added plot at only 1.295 million shillings. We also have flexible payment options of up to 12 months. Call us today on 0702 8310 83 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.
Welcome back. You're watching Hope TV Newswatch. A section of residents of Malindi Town have held a peaceful demonstration to protest against Tycoon's opposition to a 67 million shilling World Bank Matangani Road project led by Kilifi members of County Assembly Kadenge Mothete of Shela, Edward Kazungu Dele of Sebaki and David Kadenge Dadu of Malindi Town. The residents said members of the business community who obtained a court order stopping the project had personal interests in mind. They say the residents of Malindi Town and Sabaki wards had petitioned their leaders to lobby for the construction of the road to bitumen standards and wondered why a section of the business community was insisting on the use of cabro blocks to build the road. Our reporter Grace Ongoi has more.
Kilifi members of County Assembly Kadenge Mothete Edward Kazungu and David Kadenge, who led the angry protesters, confronted the action by the business community in the area to have the stretch of road built in cabro rather than bitumen, saying that it was on basis of personal interest.
Wenyewe waliomba lami, wewe unakuja kama nani? Tuko na barua tulipeleka kwa departments, wananchi wakiwa wamepetition ni MCA wao. Wewe hukuleta barua yote ya maombi. Barabara imekuwa hivi miaka mingi. Toka tupate uhuru, hii barabara iko na shida. At least kwa mara ya kwanza tunatengenezwa barabara.
The bone of contention between the two parties is that the protesters are against construction of the 800-meter road by cabro instead of bitumen, as was earlier approved by the county government soon after they received the funding. Kilifi MCAs who addressed the press after the demonstration are concerned that the tycoon opposing the construction were not even present during public participation and are now opposing residents' plea for tarmac road.
Waliingia wakajaribu kulobi, mambo yao ikaharibika kwa sababu unajua World Bank haiwezi kuongea na mtu. World Bank inaweka mwananchi wa kawaida kabisa at the center of the matter. Sio mabwenyenye. Kwa hivyo nataka niwaambie, lazima sisi tusimame kidete. Hatukatai kabro wala hatukatai lami. Lakini World Bank imesema itaweka lami. Wewe ni nani unalazimisha kabro? World Bank ikija ikisema itaweka lami, tutawaambia weka lami. Wakisema wataweka kabro, wacha waweke kabro. Kwa hapa Malindi ziko barabara zingine za lami, ziko zingine za kabro. Mbona hamsemi zile zingine za lami zibomolewe?
Nataka kuambia kuwa sisi kama viongozi ambao tulichaguliwa na wananchi hapa Malindi, Sabaki na Malindi, kama wangelikuwa wana issues za kuhusu utekelezaji wa hii barabara, walikuwa watuite sisi. Tukae kwa meza, manake sisi tumefanya public participation na wananchi wenyewe wakakubali hii barabara itengenezwe na lami.
Malindi Town Member of County Assembly David Kadenge expressed worry that the World Bank might withdraw funding if no action is taken, sentiments that were further echoed by his counterpart Edward Kazungu, who says adequate public participation has been done and that the protesters have a right to protest.
Hii ni msaada ambao tumepata, si pesa ya county, pesa imetoka World Bank. Mtu amekusaidia, wewe unampatia masharti. Je, wakitoa hizi pesa wakienda nazo, sisi tutakuwa tumepata nini?
Tumesikia kuna mabwenyenye ambao wameshikilia Malindi ni yao. Na leo hii tunawaonya. Tunajua wewe ambao ulioenda kotini uko na kampuni ulionunua juzi ya kutengeneza kabro. Barabara ni nyingi, sio hii peke yake. Lakini kama World Bank waliona shida ambao wananchi wa Malindi Town Ward na wa Magarini wanapata tabu na wamekubali kuweka barabara, tunataka wale ambao wanajiita business community watulie.
Grace Angoi, Hope TV News Watch.
A week after ditching the Wiper Democratic Movement, former Nairobi Deputy Governor Jonathan Mweke has joined the United Green Movement UGM party. Mweke, who says he will soon announce which position he will be seeking come 2022, said he opted to join the party whose leader is former Ndio MP Agustino Neto to bring the change that the country has been seeking. He cited the struggling country's economy, rising cases of unemployment affecting the youthful population and corruption even in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, saying the UGM party seeks to address such issues. Mweke's exit from the Kalonzo Musyoka's Wiper party comes 2 months after former Machakos Senator Johnson Muthama ditched the party to support Deputy President William Ruto's team.
You know, I made an announcement a few weeks ago that I left Wiper, and my reason was very clear, because I did not believe that Wiper could fulfill the promise of a better future for our young population. I'd been on Wiper for a long time. It was very, very clear that they had no ideas on how they can cater to the aspirations of this country during the struggle we are going through today. Today's struggle, all of you are young people, you know, is economic. People want money in their pockets. People want to be able to put food on the table, pay school fees, and take care of their friends and their family. that has not happened, and things are getting worse day by day. And people are getting tired, very tired, because they can't see how tomorrow is going to be better than today. And the whole existence of life is progress. You make sure that tomorrow is better than today.
To Kamega now, the county has received a donation of 100,000 surgical and 3,000 K95 masks for its frontline healthcare workers from High Level Summit HLS. Kamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya has accepted to chair HLS for the next 3 years, saying he will use the opportunity to forge for projects that will benefit the citizens. Oparanya appreciated the national government for giving counties 5 billion shillings to fight COVID-19 and also 3 billion shillings to pay frontline healthcare workers. Kamega will be the first county to host the summit next year.
Thank you very much for the donation of 100,000 face masks. This is, I think, the highest contribution that we have ever received. This will go a long way to help especially the health workers whom we have been protecting and making sure that they have protective equipment. We have been able to raise 6.2 billion Kenya shillings as all counties. Counties, of course, making various varied allotment to COVID depending on their local needs. We had also support from Tanita, which gave us 30 million each of the 47 counties. European Union had also support of 300 million Kenya shillings, but this one they funded through their own agents to carry out activities in various counties.
Two suspected M-Pesa fraudsters who've been terrorizing residents of Machakos County have been presented at a Machakos court. The suspects, 23-year-old Kevin Segene Oroko and 27-year-old Dominic Otiso Nyabuto, were apprehended from their hideout at Miwani Estate within Machakos town last week by a combined team of police and detectives from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations following a tip-off from members of the public.
Kevin Segene Otiso Dominic and son from Nakapilo. They are charged with the first offense being preparing to commit a felony contrary to Section 308(2) as dealt with Section 308(4) of the Penal Code. Particulars of the offense being that Kevin Segene Otiso Dominic, son from Nakapilo, on the 15th day of September 2020 at Miwani Estate in Machakos Town, at Machakos Sub-County within Machakos County, jointly were found in possession of a laptop make ASUS MSQ 7265NG, a printer make HP, computer monitor make HP, serial number 3C Q022BB ZB, 6 mobile phones, 600 Safaricom, and 34 Airtel SIM cards.
The war against FGM in Isiolo County has received a boost following a decision by a group of 20 men to support the cause. The group from Meriti, Garbatula and Isiolo Central Sub-Counties have vowed to take the lead role in efforts to end the age-old practice by the year 2022, as earlier directed by President Uhuru Kenyatta. Under the umbrella of Men and FGM Foundation, the groups have gone through a 2-day sensitization training on anti-FGM with the Isiolo Interfaith Network Secretary Bishop Stephen Kalunyu leading the campaigns. The men are now expected to hit the ground running by reaching out to fellow men who are the decision makers in the African family setup, a campaign that is being supported by the Anti-FGM Board and the county government through the Office of the First Lady.
Kama wanaume ambao tumepata lugha neno mpya ya consumers, lazima tusimame vile tuweze kuwatetea wachana ambao ni binti zetu, wamama zetu, vile watoto wetu kutokana na dhuluma hii ambayo kikatiba vile imekataliwa. Na hivi majuzi tumekuwa na kikao ambayo ilijumuisha pamoja viongozi wa kidini ya Kiislamu na Kikristo na tuliweza kujua ya kwamba hakuna mahali imeruhusu katika vitabu vyote viwili ya dini hizi kubwa zote mbili inaoruhusu ukeketaji ya wasichana.
Katika baraza la wazee la kitaifa tumetoa mwelekeo ya kwamba tamaduni zilizopitwa na wakati kama ukeketaji na unyanyapaa kwa wasichana hauna nafasi wakati huu katika nchi hii. Kwa hivyo siku ya leo pia tumekutana na vijana na wanaume ambao wamehamasishwa juu ya kuweza kuangamiza, kumaliza na kupambana na ukeketaji wa wasichana.
Kampeni yetu sio kwa kutembelea communities peke yake. Nilivyosema ilianza katika mtandao. Ndio maana kuna hii hashtag hapa. Inaitwa #MenEndFGM. Kwa hivyo pale kwenye mtandao pia tunafanya kampeni ya kuwahusisha vijana ambao ni wengi katika mtandao. Na ndio wale wanatumia mtandao sana Kenya, tunawaelimisha pale, tunakuwa na Twitter chats tofauti tofauti, tunakuwa na video clips tofauti tofauti, tunajaribu kuwaelimisha ambavyo watajua madhara ya FGM.
All right, News Watch now takes another short commercial break. When you come back, of course, we'll be looking at business news. Stay with us.
Dunia ni mali ya Bwana na vyote vijazavyo.
Nguruwe ni mali ya Bwana au?
Ni mali ya Bwana.
Bata ni mali ya Bwana?
Ni mali.
Wewe kula basi. Acha mambo mengi.
Yesu ndiye njia.
Muislamu yoyote ambaye anamkataa Yesu, kwanza sisi tunamjua ni kafiri.
Bila huyu Yesu, mtu aendi kwa Baba.
Ungana na walimu wa neno wanapochambua masuala tata katika Biblia, wakiyalinganisha na vitabu vingine vya kidini.
Je, kuna ushahidi wowote Muhammad aliwahi ona Qur'ani? Na hii Qur'ani muliitoa wapi? Halo?
Piga simu moja kwa moja na pia uchangie kupitia SMS na Facebook.
Itawezekana kitabu cha Biblia ambaye mwanakiamini kuwa ni kitabu cha Mwenyezi Mungu ishindwe kumtabiri mtu ambaye ana wafuasi zaidi ya bilioni 100 duniani.
Je, Muhammad amekufa ama yuko hai?
Ungana nasi kila Jumamosi saa 2 hadi saa 4 ya usiku kwenye runinga uipendayo ya Hope TV.
Welcome back. Now, Safaricom CEO Peter Ndegwa has commissioned the new ICT Center at Shikusa Juvenile Center in Kamega County. The new ICT Center has 30 computers and will serve over 300 students. Students will also have access to internet services at the center, where engaging juvenile offenders with education and skills-based training through technology is an integral component of successful rehabilitation and reintegration back into the community.
Safaricom is about transforming lives. Yeah, Safaricom is about transforming lives. So although we are a commercial business, our objective is to make sure that we reach community across the country. And so therefore we are very happy to be involved in supporting this cause. We have supported with 30 computers and other appliances like printers and so on and so forth. I went in there to see some of the boys who are already going into the internet to study. So this will help you. I'm trying to do two things at the same time. Thank you.
As Kenya continues to battle with the current pandemic, the effects of coronavirus, which include massive job losses, will be felt even in years to come. Our reporter Joe Jesse had a conversation with Philip Ngotia, who is now a cart pusher after losing his lucrative job in the city.
Those people who knew me before I came to what I'm doing right now, they can't believe what I'm doing.
A few months ago, Philip Ngotia was comfortably fending for his siblings until he was laid off, having worked as a top barista in one of the top hotels in the country. The contraction of the economy did not spare him, forcing him to look for other means of feeding his family.
So I looked for an opportunity to get bulk food at a cheaper price because we were in a pandemic. So I could go as far as Mudurwa. I could get cereals, greens at a cheaper price. Then I come, we prepare at home. Then I saw it as a good venture because I could get sometimes I could get excess. With time, I saw it as an opportunity to give it to my few neighbors. Then an idea came that I can bring more and sell to them. So as I was interacting with my friends, a friend told me that he is shifting from one kibanda to another one. So I told him I saw it as a golden opportunity for me to bring my surplus to that kibanda. We negotiated about the pricing. We reached a consensus. Then he gave me that platform. I wanted to prove my point right that I can do this.
With the number of employed individuals in Kenya shrinking from 17.8 million to 15.9 million, and the dropping of job listing by career websites by 58%, with hospitality and travel, building and architecture industries worst hit, dropping by 47 and 75% respectively, Philip has been forced to manage 2 jobs, water delivery by a cart, and operating a grocery shop to make ends meet.
I bought some jerrycans and started fetching water for myself, for my family. I used to hire a cart, mkokoteni, then go fetch like 3 rounds. Then that's enough for us like 3 or 4 days. Then with time again, neighbors were inquiring, where are you getting water? And we don't have water. Then I told them, if you want water, I'll sell you water. That's how I started selling water. I just started selling 1 jerrycan. Then with time, they were giving me orders of 10 jerrycans. Then 3 families, they want 10 jerrycans, that's like 30. So every day when I was borrowing that cart, I saw it again as a loss. I looked for a financial institution, friends, they contributed some money for me. I bought mine, ranging from 10 to 15,000.
According to Philip, tough times demand for tough measures, and citing opportunity can go a long way to counter massive unemployment, with the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics second quarter labor force report showing that the level of unemployment rose sharply among young people aged 20 to 29 years as employers laid off workers to cut operational costs.
When we were in that transitional period, I had again to evolve myself, to do something that I like that again will make money for me. At the moment, I'm liking the business. I'm happy about it because I'm creating new clients every day and the needs are there. With capital, yes, I'll say that the government is a little bit let down because when a youth wants to access financial backup, the process is the process is long. Some give up on their way.
Reporting for Hope at TV News Watch, I'm Joe Jesse.
Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Rachel Omamo, has said her ministry will work closely with the Konza Technopolis Development Authority, KOTDA, to attract investors and investments into the project. The CS said this during a tour of the Technopolis while accompanied by her Information, Communication and Technology, Innovation and Youth Affairs counterpart, Joe Musheru. On his part, CS Musheru said the partners and organizations, including universities, hospitals and organizations, are gearing up to set up at the Technopolis. He pointed out that the ongoing progress on the project was as a result of great partnerships with political leaders, communities and government ministries.
So Greening Kenya is one of our biggest projects, and Konza is playing a significant role in that. So we've come with different partners to look at that. So we've planted trees as well as just inspecting the developments in the project. This is a Vision 2030 project, so it's not one where you can say it will end on this day, because there is what we are doing as government in terms of the horizontal infrastructure, and I believe that with the partners that we have and the contractors, we will be able to meet the deadline. We're trying to do this even before 2022. But we've got also then the different partners and people who are coming to build their own facilities. This is the vertical infrastructure. There's the universities, the hospitals, the accommodation. So all those are also now progressing, although there's been a delay even in terms of tendering, in terms of processing because of COVID-19. But we've seen a lot more activity now start, and we expect we should meet the objectives.
We know the Kenya story isn't a single story. It's a multifaceted story that brings together the dynamic nature of our country, its transformative vision, and the innovative nature of our people. So coming to a place like this, where you see ICT infrastructure being developed, where you can feel the energy of the young people here.
That story there ends our bulletin tonight on Newswatch. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tony Omondi, and our sign language interpreter has been Boniface Murithi. Have a blessed weekend ahead.